Shout out to YouTuber Murad Marali. I've been following him for quite some time. He's an East Indian, I think from the UK. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's the one that actually talked about this, and I'm gonna read an article about it. I like his channel too because he's one of those cats that will not only expose but also challenge the racism within his own culture. Which is there's a lot of that even with the Costa system and stuff like that. But anyways, I'm gonna put a link to his video on this, but I'm gonna read this. This Bollywood actress thought she could be slick and talk crap about black people. So you guys can, yeah, I'll just read the article and you guys will, yeah, I'm sure you'll chime in. Esha Gupta has Instagram exposed everyday racism in India. Okay. Up until Monday, Esha Gupta was just a Bollywood actress with a passion for Arsenal Football Club. Like, that's the soccer over there. That changed after the actress decided to share a screen grab of WhatsApp conversation in which a friend mocked the team's Nigerian star Alex Iwobi as a gorilla and Neanderthal who evolution had stopped for. I know you guys have an opinion about that. And I thought about saying it, but I'm going to just read the article. Ha ha ha, wrote the actress, who helped Arsenal unveil its 2017 away kit. As she shared the screen grab with her 3.4 million Instagram followers. The racial slurs and the fact that she thought it was funny horrified many, and the backlash was unsurprisingly swift. How dare she call herself an Arsenal supporter? Her fellow fans demanded. Gupta raised an apology quickly. Yeah, because she got called out. But the post hints at a long-known but little acknowledged problem: the racism towards people of African descent in Indian society. I'm not surprised. Look at Gandhi. Look at the caste system for quite. Yeah. Anyways. Victims or perpetrators. Of course, not surprised by the post, as Zugo Namdi told the BBC from Delhi, his home of 5 years. In fact, the Secretary General of the Association of African Students in India added that, as racial slurs go, her words were no worse than what fellow African students experience on a daily basis to their faces. Yep. Racism is not something which is very hidden here. It is something very open, he said. People just look at you and they call you Habshi, a derogatory term. A lot of other words and racial slurs. Here, you're regarded as a cannibal. You don't have to look very far to see examples of prejudice towards people of African descent in India. Look at this. Okay, you guys, I'm going to just interject. I've heard that even the Shadi, which are the African people that were those DOS over there that get discriminated against, aside from the Dravidians who are very dark too. I've heard that. And correct me if I'm wrong, all my Indian friends, if you're out there. Just look at Bollywood. Look at how Bollywood treats its black characters. Take example, the award-winning 2008 film Fashion, which told the tale of an aspiring model played by Quantico actress Priyanka Chopra, who is caught in a downward spiral of drink and drugs. But the moment she realizes she has truly hit rock bottom is when she wakes up beside a black man. According to Dhruva Valram, the racial undertones of her realization were clear. For Bollywood, an aspiring actress model, the worst thing that you can do is position yourself sexually next to a black man or a black person, he argued in an article for Media Diversified. The article immediately resonated with Khadisha Phillips, an Afro-American New Yorker who spent a month in Bollywood, during her degree. The racism she experienced left its mark, whether being ignored in a restaurant or blocked from entering a school's campus by one of the guards. I could tell it was because of the color of our skin, she recalled. It was just easy to notice. So were Gupta's message just another example of the everyday racism experienced by black people in India? It is fair to say the furor which surrounded the Instagram post failed to make as a big splash in India as it did in other parts of the world. But why? That could be down to the fact that it takes a more shocking incident to become a talking point. It was one such incident back in 2016 when a young Tanzanian woman was beaten and stripped by an angry mob, which inspired Mahesh Shantaram to take a fresh look at his own country. This is not cool right here. This is an example of what happens over there at times because of the racism over there. What he found after spending months traveling around his own city and the country, meeting and speaking and photographing black Africans, left him shocked. I was hearing things for the first time, he said. Imagine someone telling you stories about your country that you think you know very well, but they tell you in a different story. In many cases, he found that just having black skin meant you were already deemed guilty in the eyes of your neighbors. As a result, innocent Africans like Endurance Alamawa was beaten by a mob. Yeah, this is that picture, you guys. As he made his way through a mall near Delhi in March 2017. The attack followed a drug overdose of an Indian teenager, and at the time of the deaths were blamed on Nigerian drug dealers. We like to think of ourselves as victims of racism, but there's not an understanding that we are also perpetrators of racism, Shantaram told the BBC. But it is not just black people who find themselves being judged by their color in India, the color of their skin in India. Darker skinned Indians also find themselves struggling against prejudice. Yeah, I mentioned that, you guys. That's true. All this stuff goes back to the caste system, you guys. And seriously, shoot, this is okay, I'll read the rest. I wasn't going to. Yeah, all this stuff goes back to the caste system. You know, some people will even say that's the origins of racism too. You know, I remember Razcast saying that in one of his songs as well. All right. Perhaps, ironically, Gupta had an experience of this herself. The actress opened up about discrimination she felt back in 2017. I'm proud of the way I look, she told the Times of India. In Europe, brown skin is celebrated. In India, I have to face discrimination in complexions. But yeah, then you played the white supremacist card. You deserve everything that you got because of what you just did. She thought she was in because she was over in Europe and just had the chance to shit on black people because this time she was more closer to white than she was black. I don't like people like this. Anyway, sorry for interrupting. It's sheer hypocrisy. I am made to feel bad about the way that I look when 90% of the girls look like me. In India, look like me. Let me see what she wrote. I couldn't see what she wrote on the tweet. Okay. This is the tweet they had. I should just, I'll probably screenshot it and then put it, this colorism where people with darker skin are discriminated against by those of their own race has not gone unnoticed by black people who live in India. It is the way the system is. It's institutional. Yep. Nnamdi said, who was originally from Nigeria, who thinks of himself as a Pan-African. But attempts to get Indians to join with a social media campaign against skin color discrimination back in 2017 were allegedly unsuccessful, prompting Nnamdi and his colleagues in the AASI to try a different track. We decided that we would not play victims to the system. We are going to change the narrative, and we want to project a more positivity and engage with the community. It is starting to pay off, Nnamdi believes, but he would really like to see the laws that would mean people were punished for spreading racial hatred. Gupta's apology, he argues, isn't enough. Thank you. I'm glad he didn't just say, oh, everything's cool. No, it's not cool. For the statements, there should be a punishment. It should cost you something so you could learn from it. Even without the laws, though, Shantaram believes change is happening, a bit slowly. Meanwhile, he's received funding to create a book of photographs where he is able to share stories that he's heard from Africans living in India. However, he stresses it is not about the plight of Africans in India. Instead, the book will shine light on a part of India too often brushed under the rug. Well, I mean, I don't know how you could ignore the plight of Africans when that thing that's being swept under the rug is the very thing affecting them. Come on, dude. But anyway, yeah, in India, like a lot of that stuff is like seriously, dude, like that's the origins of their caste system. Their caste system, basically, from what I understand, the darker people were on the bottom and the lighter skinned people were on the top. They were the lighter skinned people were the Brahmins or like the priest and all that in the high class. The darker skinned people were known as Dalit, basically untouchables, almost, looked at as lepers. I have a friend who lives in India who, he considers himself black. He's an East Indian that considers himself black because he's like a Dravidian, or a Malayali type, or a Goa type. Those people are really dark-skinned Indians over there, and there was even a group called the Dalit Panthers at one point. They were like basically inspired by the Black Panthers just to start rising up against all the racism and oppression and colorism over there. Anyway, I'd like to know what you guys think. Peace. P.S. Here's that tweet that she did, actually. It was discussing our frustration during the game. Sorry, I didn't realize it was directed towards racism. Laughed over the spur of the moment, which was the game's result. Guys, been victims of racism myself before, but it is not something I'm proud of. It was a fault. Sorry, guys. Her English, I think, is a little kind of fading, but that's no excuse. That's no excuse at all. So, Yeah, here it is, y'all.